the world of everyone being fooled, like me, there is one thing that I think is a very important PSA, and it has really nothing to do with like fake videos or anything. It has to do with fake people, and it has to deal with the fitness industry. A lot of the people you see online are using steroids. Whether or not they're open about it, it's going to vary from individual to individual, but a large portion of the people you're seeing online with these fucking ridiculous physiques are using steroids. I appreciate the ones that are open about their stack, but not all of them are. But regardless, it is a huge epidemic, I suppose. I watched a really insightful Vice documentary about it 2 days ago now. I know Vice has kind of fallen off, they're kind of cringe, I get it, but this is a really well-made piece on just how prevalent steroid use has become for teenagers and young adults. And I, as well as many others, feel that it's entirely because of the state of social media online. Like, I'm sure you all hear how low the barrier of entry is to try and get started with content creation, and it's super true, but when you're trying to get started in the fitness industry, there is at least one barrier, and that's steroids. This is a point that Fillion mentioned in his video where he covered it, and I think he's right on the money. When you're competing in the fitness space online, you're competing with some of the most yoked out fucking kaiju monsters that humanity has to offer, and they're all on gear. So in order to try and stand out and try and make a career out of this fitness journey, a lot of people feel like they need to be able to compete on an even playing field with them, so they start taking steroids. And it's a fucking awful thing to get hooked on. And a lot of people online don't realize just how big steroid usage has become. And I wanted to briefly mention this since I just got fooled by a fake bad date video. I'm sure a lot of you out there watching this may have actually been fooled by a fake fitness influencer making the claim that if you buy their goat urine extract supplement, you'll be able to have 45-pack abs just like them, because they refuse to disclose that the reason they look the way they do is the product of course, hard work, but also a large part of it is due to steroids as well. So I'm going to play you just a really short stream clip. I kind of dove into this for quite a while last night, and I won't play the whole thing. I just want to let people know that a lot of the fitness influencers you see online are not the result of just hard work and dedication and a good mindset in the gym. There is a lot of gear being used as well. So I don't want anyone to get like body dysmorphia or anything like that. And I was watching Fillion's video covering this. Fillion does a lot of coverage over like fake natty stuff, gear, all of that. And it was just really insightful, because I guess I was kind of blind to just how big of a deal it was. PewDiePie made this video last year talking about how every fitness celebrity is pretending to be natural when they're not, and they're peddling products under the false pretense that you can look like them when realistically you can't. Kind of like the Liver King, how the Liver King preaches the ancestral tenets and all that, even though he's got a crazy stack, he is the result of steroids. So I just want to give this blanket advice to everyone out there. Don't believe fitness influencers who are making crazy claims about like what they do to get jacked and ripped. If it looks unnatural, it most likely is. And no amount of buying their protein powders or their multivitamins and supplements and all of that is going to get you anywhere close to what they look like. I just want to throw that out there. Because one thing I have talked about is there's a lot of shit that prey on insecure men, and I guess this is a huge one now. So just be aware, you will not look like those fitness Instagram models and all of that, unless you're doing gear, which you shouldn't do. But why are they so bad if you look so good? True. How can it be bad when I look good? You can get a crazy physique while being natural, but you'll never get a physique like some of the shit you see popping off online now. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly slide this in here because it does kind of tie into getting fooled by what you see online. Also just had a huge voice crack right there. That was a fucking big one. But yeah, hopefully maybe this is helpful to anyone out there that maybe is, you know, getting body dysmorphia from seeing all of these like TikTok and Instagram fitness models that are blowing up right now, wondering why doesn't my body look like that when I'm putting in so much hard work. I'll break the magician's code. It's because you're likely not using steroids like they are. And I don't recommend you start using steroids either. They're not good for you, obviously. So just wanted to put that out there. I recently got fooled. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.
and they took in where the thing was projected to have landed, and they made a bunch of lines that determined where it came from, most possibly at a pretty good fucking degree of error, like a small one, and it looked pretty convincing, unless it was completely fake. I don't know.
By Israel since this last saga in the occupation, and this hospital had been bombed directly by Israel, where the cancer ward was destroyed. Israel has been bombing all of these hospitals. Israel has been calling all of these hospitals to evacuate over and over and over again. The medical professionals at the hospital had been called by the Israeli government the day prior, and everyone on the ground assumes that this is an Israeli airstrike. They are the ones who experienced the situation.
Hassan,
so when you have
but the
every
truth is,
single, can I just finish this?
If you watch the
Can I just finish
BBC,
this?
if you watch the BBC account of all this last night, by their Verify unit, which was specifically set up by the BBC to be completely dispassionate in these investigations, and they reached a pretty clear conclusion based on circumstantial evidence, I'll make that clear, that this would not have been an Israeli airstrike, including, for example, the size of the crater, which bears no relation to the size of craters normally left by Israeli. So, look, my point is, neither of us know for sure. But you took to your airwaves immediately because actually you're, I wouldn't even say unconscious bias, your admitted propagandist bias on your part was that you wanted that to be an Israeli airstrike. It suited your narrative. And I would say that that in itself, in its way, is being a stenographer. Well, you know, you accuse me of being a stenographer. I try and be fair and get to the truth. In your case, I don't think you try to do that. I think you appeal to your audience, appeal to your base, and you don't really care whether the facts are there or not.
This is entirely unfair because you just said circumstantial evidence favors that this was not an Israeli airstrike.
Yeah.
I gave you all of the circumstantial evidence that it does favor that this is an Israeli airstrike. The reason why, however, circumstantial evidence is not enough. And the one thing that I will concede to, because when more information did come out, and no, I do not mean when Israel said that they did not bomb this hospital and it was actually Hamas, and then they turned around and went, never mind, it's not Hamas, it's actually Islamic Jihad. And then they said, we have more evidence coming out in a couple hours. And then the evidence came out, and it turns out it sounded like the phone conversations that they were able to intercept, supposedly, sounded like by experts at the very...
Why is there multiple groups have rockets? Is what I think is a major concern. How come not just the military, you have multiple groups with a bunch of fucking rockets, yo? Why is it just in question mark? Why is it just in question mark? Guys, this is a very good question. How come your country, and then you have the army and shit, and you have a bunch of fucking other groups that I'm assuming are not like the official army or whatever, and have access to rockets and means to fire the motherfucking rockets? That's concerning as fuck. How is that not concerning? That's incredibly concerning. What? Guys, what the fuck?
Very least to be completely false and completely made up.
Yeah, but Hassan, I don't think. Listen, in all honesty, I don't think even as you're saying all this, I think you're a smart guy.
Let me finish.
I think you've looked at all of this, and I think in your heart, you know this was probably not an Israeli airstrike. And I'm just curious why you would...
Guys, have you heard of the black market? Bro, nobody goes into the fucking black market and buys a fucking rocket launcher that fucking spams rockets across the fucking country, bro. This guy thinks he could just go buy a fucking... Dude, massive 16-slot rocket launcher, dude, and start fucking smoking shit up, dude. What?
Like even like when I wake up in the morning, my voice is even like way down. Like it's possible, but then also I'm pretty sure I've heard him do the Deep Riz voice when he's on other shows, so it might be intentional. Because didn't he do that on the was it Context? Was that the name of the show that he was on, where he built it on his own? I don't remember the name of the show, but I think he does try to do that. Oh, Complex. I think Vosh tries to do that too. So I don't know if he was trying to.
Guys, I do the same thing sometimes. Yeah.
Whatever.
Because I want to play you.
This
was your reaction to when the hospital got bombed.
I'm a propaganda.
Well, no,
for the record.
I'm not calling it
propaganda.
That. I'm just saying. I'm going to play you.
I'm saying I am.
Okay, well then.
I'm saying I am.
Link the video where he gets baited by Arma 3 clips. Who has it? Who has it?
I just
Before
want to
you
put it.
even play it.
Okay, I'm going to play the clip. This is your reaction to the bombing of the hospital the other night.
While I was in the process of getting ready for the stream, Israel enacted one of the singular worst strikes they have done thus far, and an Israeli airstrike hit the Al Ahli hospital in
Yeah,
Gaza City,
yeah, but
where
yeah, they'll-
thousands of civilians were seeking medical treatment and shelter.
Hold up.
3 breaking news report was sponsored by Applebee's. Oh, this one's fucking insane. I don't know if this is legit or not. Rip. Oof, they lit that fucking thing up. Look at the traces.
Much love XQCL.
This one is literally Arma 3. It's fake. It's Arma. Oh, god damn it! I hate it! Sponsored by Applebee's. Oh, this
How the fuck? How does that even happen, chat? How does that even happen?
from the relentless bombing campaign.
Now, interestingly, when you were saying that, I was coming on air too, and I took a
Woo yeah. Sorry.
position based probably on 30 years of being a journalist, including running major newspapers, working at CNN and others, of waiting. I'm just saying I think we should just wait and see what is actually.
Lameo at Destiny, you and your chat are so uncharitable to Hassan, down to how he sounds or breathes. It's the same thing you say you hate about Washington's community. Okay, kind of, but like, here's something that I haven't figured out. I don't know how to thread the needle on this one yet. Just as a real quick aside. Sometimes people are fake and performative, and I think it's good to call it out, but it's hard to call it out without always coming across as unhinged or obsessed. I feel like there's an issue right now that exists in
True.
media, or I say media, maybe alternative media, or maybe in my world.
True, actually.
Where there's a really good defense of everything, and that's just saying, wow, rent
Why am I laughing?
Wow, obsessed, wow.
Dude, the reason why I was laughing is because that was a fucking video game clip, you fucking moron. That was a clip from a video game. Oh my goodness, dude. You're
rent-free,
so
wow,
dense, it's
obsessed.
insane.
To where a person can do like horrible shit, or say horrible shit, or be performative as fuck, and then anytime somebody criticizes them, like, oh wow,
is
you're
it weird?
obsessed.
It's a
Oh,
video
wow, you're
game.
obsessed. Donald Trump did it with his fans. Oh, Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, Trump derangement syndrome. So, I mean, there is a point where it's like too much to call out, but I think it's worth calling out when you see it. Like, Vosh.
You know what? Guys, I was watching with this. Everybody is just so on edge. It's insane. We cannot have anything else but just
Hello and what?
boredom these days. They're just too caught up. So now we need to play the block game. Everybody's so caught up these days. It's kind of insane.
You would, instead of admitting
No,
that as facts
no,
change,
that is
your
not what
opinion
I'm saying.
changed.
That
No,
is
but
not what I'm saying at
I
all.
don't understand why you would
Please,
double and treble
you-
down
you're
when the
asking me to be
evidence
on
is
your show.
pointing the other
You're
way.
asking me to be on your show. Do you want to talk?
Yes.
If you're asking me to be on your show, and I want to be on the show, thank you so much for having me on your
Yeah.
show. Let me explain exactly what I said, and let me explain to you why I think still, to this very moment, until there is a third-party investigation that is concluded by the UN, the International Criminal Court, or specifically a forensic analyst that that looks at the situation, is allowed to be on the ground. This is not just my perspective. This is B'Tselem as well, which is an Israeli organization that has also demanded a
Okay.
third-party investigation occur. I am not going to conclusively say that this was not
I don't
Israel's
expect you to.
fault.
I
Why?
don't expect you to.
Because I just gave you, and not because I'm a propagandist. As far as me being a propagandist goes, everyone is a propagandist. I'm just honest about it. You're a propagandist. We have our
I'm
biases.
curious who you think I'm a
I am at least
propagandist
honest
for.
about my biases.
Who do you think I'm a propagandist for?
Who do I think you're a propagandist
Yeah.
for? Whichever every media person is doing propaganda.
Yeah,
This
but
is-
who,
this is
but who for?
a
I've got to be
fact.
doing it with
doesn't-
somebody.
You think it's a bad word? I don't. That's just the difference. This is a
I
semantics
do. I think it's
conversation
actually quite a
that is
serious charge.
uninteresting.
Hassan, I think it's a serious charge to level, not as a podcaster, but as a journalist who's broadcasting around the world, who has a reputation,
that's rough.
I believe, for being fair and impartial, actually, on these issues. It's quite a charge to just say, I'm a stenographer for the Israeli government, or I'm a propagandist. I don't think there's any evidence that I'm either of those things. I'm curious who you think I am doing
While
the
we're having
propaganda
this
for.
conversation, 3,000 Pierce, while we're having this back and forth, 3,840 Palestinians have been ruthlessly slaughtered in the last incursion into Gaza. I feel like this is an incredibly selfish, self-centered conversation to have. You asked me to be on here. You wanted to hear my perspective. I'm willing to give it to you. I don't want to talk about like whether I don't want to talk about Noam Chomsky style manufacturing consent conversations about how the media is operating in the behest of
You were the
capitalism.
guy. Listen,
I think
you
this
were
is a
the
silly
guy that
conversation to
called
have.
me.
There are dead people.
Listen, Hassan, I only asked you because you're the guy that called me a propagandist and called me a baboon in a suit. I was curious as to why. You don't want to say
I know, but
who I'm doing the propaganda for. We'll move on. We'll move on. I agree with
I
you.
said
there's a bigger picture here. Let's move on.
said that
Let's take a short
you-
break. Hassan, let's take a short break. I want to come
Okay.
back. I want to talk to you about what happened on October the 7th. Get your reaction to that. Welcome back. Hassan Piker is still with me. Hassan, I want to just play you a clip of something that you said.
Guys,
about the,
guys, they gotta run the ads, bro. Guys, they have the mid-roll ads. They need to fucking run them. They gotta cut them off to get to that shit. It's gonna be like, bro, they're trying to make some fucking cold cash in this bitch, man. Like, come on, man.
October 7th terror attacks, and in particular, the attack at the music festival, which killed 260 people.
Look at this guy. You know what shouldn't happen? Killing 260 people at a music festival. No, you're right, man. That just happened on its own because, like, bad guys wanted to do bad things. You're right. Dude, if they subjugated you to a open-air prison your whole life, you're going to break out eventually when you realize that there's no other way to get out of it.
I mean, it sounds to me there, Hassan, that you are in some way saying they had it coming. Were you?
No, I wouldn't say that they had it coming. I think that Michael Brooks used to say, analysis is not justification. And while obviously civilian casualties and horrific barbaric acts that were committed on October 7 are completely unacceptable, the important thing to make sure that it never happens again is to analyze what are the conditions as to how it happened to begin with. And I think Ehud Barak is going to be on in a little bit as well, or maybe he's on before me. And I'm almost certain that while he has held the keys to the conversation and held the levers of the power in this conversation in many key and critical points, I would go so far as to say that he is among many others who also recognize that the Bibi Netanyahu administration is responsible. This is not just my assessment. This is 85% of the Israeli population's assessment at the time. This is years and years and years of refusing to negotiate with the Palestinian Authority. Don't take my word for it. Take Bibi Netanyahu's personal word for it.
I would agree again.
In a closed-door conversation with Likud members, he said
listen.
that if you want to thwart any kind of Palestinian nation state, you must do everything you can to only negotiate with Hamas. We control how high the fire goes. He's given cash to Hamas by way of Qatar. There is no bigger fan of Hamas than Bibi Netanyahu, which I hope one day you can maybe interview, and then you'll ask him to.
No, I actually did interview him a few months ago, and I did actually spell out to him that there have been a lot more Palestinian deaths this year so far, up to the point of the interview, than Israelis, and what he intended to do about it. He said then he didn't believe in collective responsibility, which is now this hot phrase in this whole crisis about whether you would hold all people in Gaza responsible for Hamas. Interesting to see if
Wait,
when they.
can I ask you a
Well, let me
question?
just finish my point. If they do, then launch.
There's a nerd roper. There's a nerd roper.
The ground invasion. It'd be interesting to see if they keep to that word. You know, I'm not a defender of what Bibi Netanyahu has been doing in Israel. In the last year, his attack on the credibility and integrity of the Supreme Court, I think it's been a disgrace.
Wait.
And I think it has fractured society in Israel. I also think that it's caused so much social unrest and had such big protests.
Oh my god. Bro, I thought it was THC infused. You scared the fuck out of me.
That you could argue has taken the eye off the ball of the people who should have been defending the border because they've been trying to sort out what's been going on domestically, internally inside Israel. So I think it's a catastrophic failure of intelligence, of security, of defense, all of those things. I'll be amazed, frankly, if Netanyahu survives this. So I'm certainly not here to defend him, even if you do view me as a stenographer for his government. My question for you, I think, is this, is that I've had a lot of problems trying to get people on the pro-Palestinian side to separate two things. That you can say, as I believe and you believe, that the Palestinians have been maltreated for decades. That the situation where they are effectively I mean, I don't even call it an occupation because Israelis aren't in Gaza. They pulled out in 2005, but they still control the ability of Gaza.
That is, this is why I call you a propagandist, Piers.
I'm just saying the phraseology is confusing to me because the reality is Israel exercises control over people in Gaza. It allows them in and out. It allows them to turn on the tap of water and so on and so on. I get all that. They don't actually live there because they can't live side by side with each other.
That's why it's called an open-air prison.
Right, I don't
That's
disagree
why they
with...
call it
I'm not reacting to the video. I'm just watching it.
the world's largest open-air prison.
Yeah, but Hassan, I don't disagree with you. And I've pointed this out for a long time as a journalist. So we don't disagree about the appalling plight of Palestinian people. But the issue comes that if you can't separate that ongoing dispute between Israel and Palestine from the absolutely appalling barbarism of October the 7th, which was on a whole different scale to anything we've seen, where 1,400 people, Holocaust survivors, babies in their cribs, young women taken, tortured, abused, shot, beheaded, it was reported, and so on. If we can't look at that collectively, with a general humanity and agreement that is an absolute atrocity, then there's something wrong with this. And I find that the tribalism on both sides is now so toxic and so frenzied that you get people who literally can't. We've had a bunch of actors, right, signing this statement saying they want a ceasefire in Gaza and calling Israel war criminals and so on. But they don't say a word about the Hamas attacks that precipitated this. And I find that really hard,
right?
really hard to accept.
But do you agree with them? If they had said, for example, that October 7 attacks were brutal and massacres occurred, and then they said everything else, that Israel is committing war crimes, would you agree with them?
Okay, here's what I would honestly say about that. Is Israel not allowed to defend itself from the worst terror attack we've seen since 9/11? Is it not allowed to defend itself
it's just odd.
after
You said
1,400 people in Israel are butchered in that way? And the question then, if you assume that they are able to defend themselves, as any free democratic country,
that is the
then
Israeli
the question
State
becomes,
Department line, that is the IDF's line, that is the line that everyone
Hassan, let me ask you
channels.
this. It then becomes a question of how can they defend themselves? If their mission now is to get rid of Hamas, a terror organization that's committed one of the worst acts of terror ever seen, if that is their stated aim, then what they are doing is consistent with that, isn't it?
No. Here's why this is actually an abject failure, and this is not just my perspective on the matter. I'm just a dumb idiot with a Twitch stream who is live reacting to the news and trying to make sense of everything as it's ongoing. I usually have a policy of not covering breaking news, and sometimes that policy is violated. But ultimately, I am not held up by the same journalistic standards, even though I think I do a much better job than most other news outlets in general. So let me just say this really quickly. You said Israel has a right to defend itself. Absolutely zero people think that this is a ridiculous statement. However, how Israel is defending itself is collective punishment. Now, collective punishment in the form of depriving 2.2 million people of electricity, collective punishment in the form of depriving them of water, of food, collective punishment of in the form of 51 people dying in the West Bank, where there is no Hamas in the West Bank, and yet 51 people have died because in the West Bank, settlers that are occupying Palestinian territory in violation of the international law, settlers who are doing an act of colonial terrorism, and this is not my statement on it, this is international law, that are doing horrifying things by simply just existing there and maintaining the presence with
Guys. I was talking about whenever he said about his policy. Relax, settle down. When he said he doesn't cover breaking news, I said, because dude, guys, unfortunately, what it does is it's just what it is. Like, it has a lot of breaking news in it. A lot of it.
With an occupying force in the form of IDF, who is ritualistically humiliating Palestinians in a structure that B'Tselem, an Israeli organization, calls the permit regime, where every waking moment of Palestinians' lives in the West Bank are absolute hell, where they have no legal recourse. 51 Palestinians have died, and that was before the Ramallah, the Ramallah protest that happened last night. And The Israeli forces were opening up with live fire on protesters last night, so who knows what that death toll has become. This is all a product of Israel being an apartheid state. This is a violent apartheid state. There is no way to be a peaceful
all right, Hassan,
apartheid
let me ask you
state.
this.
It
Let me
is,
ask you
it
this.
is a violence.
Let
It
me
is a
ask you
violence
this then.
required for its maintenance.
Okay, listen.
And that violence is frustrating people.
I hear
that
you.
violence
I
is
hear you.
radicalizing people.
But here's
Hold
my-
on.
I hear
as
you.
far as Israel, as far as what Benjamin Netanyahu has done, as far as the war government, what they have done, Pierce, going into Gaza
Yeah.
and bombing Gaza and killing 3,480 Palestinians so far in Gaza, 1,000 plus children out of all of those casualties, 22 hospitals being bombed, a bakery, the only remaining intact bakery being bombed yesterday. These are horrifying crimes that you would openly say are horrifying and unjustifiable when Russia does it, but when Israel does it, Israel has a right to defend itself. This is identical to the same talking points that I've heard from every Israeli administration official. It's the same talking points that I've heard from American politicians championing the exact same talking points. It's the same thing that I've heard from everyone else in the media. You might have been against the Iraq war and you use that, but you're using that for evil, in my opinion, at this point. If you are not sitting here and condemning those acts of war crimes, those acts of violence, those acts of collective punishment.
Well, I would say to that I think the death of any child in this conflict is horrific, absolutely horrific. But the question comes down to me that after an act of terror, as we saw on October the 7th, Israel should be able to defend itself and should be able to go after the people that perpetrated that, who live amongst civilians in Gaza deliberately. And the question for me becomes down to what is proportionate. I don't know the answer, Hassan. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what that answer is.
I do know the answer to that. Last night I had Dr. Ofer Kassif, an Israeli Knesset member who was expelled, suspended for 45 days for saying what I believe is the truth, championing the exact same position of the Haaretz's editorial board. There are a lot of thoughtful people, a lot of formative Holocaust scholars, a lot of historians that all agree on the same point. The reason why violence that even penetrates through the Israeli security blanket that people thought existed, that penetrated through that Iron Dome, the Iron Wall, if you want to call it that, is because of years and years of oppression and years of violence, which is a necessity.
Guys, I gotta juice up straight up. I'm just gonna give it a second. In 5 minutes, I'm gonna go up and just juice up. I can't, bro. I don't think any amount of fucking stems can make me listen to this shit. Just because guys, it's not my expertise. My brain doesn't connect. I'm not intaking a lot of information. I want you. I'm not. It's just when Hassan talks, chat, guys. This has nothing to do with the topic. This has to do with Hassan. When Hassan talks, my brain turns off. Okay? It's not fair. It's not fair that I watch something that's very important and have world news or whatever, and my brain just doesn't want to listen. It has nothing to do with the topic. It's Hassan talking. Guys, it's not. Dude.
Apartheid state.
Like,
and this has to stop. There's only two ways out of this. Either you engage in full-blown ethnic cleansing, and if you listen to the likes of Smotrich, or if you listen to the likes of Itamar Ben-Gvir, and these very unfavorable, unpopular, far-right figures, if you listen to Netanyahu and his Likud government, they say that they are interested in going in that direction, the ethnic cleansing direction, the ethnic displacement direction, or the only way out of this for a real solution is to move towards peace, to genuinely end the blockade, to end the apartheid.
Chat, why is there not like a global police? Like somebody was like a bunch of fucking like massive nukes, and they're like, yo guys, you guys don't stop fucking around. We're just gonna nuke everything. People stop fighting or something, I don't know.
To end the occupation and create a pathway towards citizenship for all people with a right to return, for all 14 million Palestinians, 5 million of which live under Israeli occupation. It's brutal. And then the rest living in diaspora.
This is a nice idea.
15 halves Pepe
Wait,
laugh,
Chaz, that's a good
15
idea.
halves Pepe laugh, 15 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 halves Pepe laugh.
Diaspora. These are not unreasonable requests. These are requests that understand the dignity and the humanity of
I hear
one
you.
side and does not simply treat them as their colonial subjects.
Hassan,
and it's the only way to create
Okay,
permanent
listen.
security and prosperity in the region.
If it was as simple as that, I'm sure that would have happened already. I would say this. I agree with a lot of what you've just said. Not all of it, a lot of it. I don't think you can ever achieve peace now with Hamas controlling Gaza. I don't think you can achieve peace with Netanyahu in charge of Israel, actually, after. I don't think his own people will want him to be in charge of Israel down the line when they examine exactly how this happened. But we will see. But Hassan, I've got to leave it there. Look, it's good to talk to you. You know, you're an important, influential voice to a lot of people. And I think we have a lot of common ground, and there are some things that we disagree about. But I suspect it's not as much as you think. You know, I do think that the core problem here has got to get resolved in a way that's been completely ignored for decades. And until it gets resolved, until the plight of the Palestinian people is resolved, until all these young people in Palestine feel there's some sense of hope,
So what's the solution then?
they can get out of what effectively is, as you say, a prison camp, then nothing is going to change. I don't think it justifies
Well,
in
it's
any
not
way.
about-
I've got to finish it, but I don't think it justifies in any way what happened on October the 7th. But I do agree with you that until that core problem gets
It doesn't.
resolved, there will never be peace. Hassan, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
I don't think I'm gonna watch that, to be honest.
Well, joining me now to discuss.
Guys, this seems pretty complicated, to be honest. Guys, what is 15-2? Guys,
Well, joining me now to discuss the conflict
Hassan
in Israel
has
and
the
Gaza.
personality of a wet lettuce. Snooze fest.
This guy keeps saying 15-2. Do not mention that guy will go meth mode.
This video.
The harder it is to
Last night, Sniper Wolf, a massive YouTuber,
Bro, this guy is so corny.
showed up outside of our home, recorded a video of our home, and then posted it to her 5.6 million Instagram followers, goading me with the line, "Let's talk like adults." In my 17 years on YouTube, I've never once had someone come to my home and vaguely threaten me. Sniper Wolf needs to be deplatformed. There is zero justification for this. She claims in her story that I've been harassing her.
Yeah, that's the problem. So, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, within the eyes of the law, the way this would be processed is kind of like this. If there's a way for you to figure something out from the internet, as dumb as it sounds, guys, I fucking hate that shit. I got doxxed a million times, okay? Because I've had to put it at my house fucking hundreds of times, okay? But in the eyes of the law, if something is you can find on the internet and you can just kind of look at it, and there's a way to get there, you're not doxing anybody, right? I think this guy has like his house or some shit like fucking registered on his company name or something like that. That already links to his name, and it's like, well, I mean, dude, I'm not saying that it's good or I encourage it and that's bad. I'm just saying that in the eyes of the law, right? There's a way to get there, so it's not a dox in that regard.
Her. No, Sniper Wolf. I've not been harassing you. At all. In my videos on Judge Jack's films, I've been critiquing her non-transformative commentary, I point out cases of content theft and freebooting, and I credit the creators she steals from. YouTube needs to take swift action and ban her from the platform ASAP. needs to take swift action and ban her from the platform ASAP. And the same goes for Instagram. Speaking of, Sniper Wolf is already making light of the situation, as if stalking someone is a quirky thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just fucking odd. Guys, I will never defend any fucking dog shit, fucking doxing shit. Fuck that bitch for doing that shit. I think it's absolutely fucking disgusting, right? But at the same time, it's kind of hard to fucking reverse the rules too. True. Laws are dog shit, but like, yeah, of course you shouldn't doxing. You shouldn't be doxing. I just think that like, what the platform needs to do is entirely up to them. So for him to like say, yo guys, do this, I don't know. I thought I was just gonna.
Sniper Wolf is a lot like the aliens on the Buzz Lightyear ride at Disney World, just getting blasted. Every single corner of the internet is coming together to talk about the Sniper Wolf situation and the doxing against a fellow YouTuber, Jax Films. From the surface to
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, YouTube TOS are one or the other. Or you do this or one thing, but applying that on YouTube, you can be demonetized, you can be striked, you get banned. There's a lot of things that they can do. So whether it's serious or not, it doesn't mean that like it's instantly a ban. You're just being mad because it makes sense to get mad, and it makes sense to like go all the way at the end and you're like, oh yeah, this needs to happen because it goes to your conclusions. But you need to apply a little bit more finesse with it to the case and a little bit more thought to it. That's it.
To the shadowy underbelly of the internet, everyone is discussing it. YouTubers, Redditors. If Yahoo Answers still existed, there'd be 50 threads about this by now. I mean, it is everywhere. It's remarkable how big it's become. I'll give you the brief nutshell on it in case you don't know what I'm referring to, but I know you do. If you're watching this video right now on the internet, you are at least loosely familiar with who she is and what she just did, because she just broke one of the 10 commandments.
No, she didn't break the law, dude. You have no understanding of the law at all, and you're just be quiet, dude. It's just not.
Being online. She took an internet dispute into the godforsaken wasteland we call the corporeal dimension, the real world. Wake the fuck up, samurai. Usually internet beef is just served up medium rare online, but she served this beef medium dare you to commit a crime. Man, that shit was lame. But kind of like Dr. Seuss rhyming that one, actually, kind of fire.
Bro,
But what I'm saying,
Legal Eagle got his degree from a fucking box of Cracker Jacks fucking popcorn, dude. Caramel popcorn Andy, dude. Dude, I don't give a fuck what you guys heard from that guy. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm sorry, dude. I'm not gonna fucking, I'm not buying it.
Jax Films making fun of Sniper Wolf for her content and pointing out that what she's doing is bad. Escalated
I'm
into her
not
being
buying
so
it.
upset about it that she found his address, went to his address, posted it on her Instagram. Not the address per se, but just posted his house on her Instagram, bragging about it, saying, you know, it's time we talk it out like adults. Which, of course, is the furthest thing from talking it out, unless, of course, you're an unhinged lunatic. This is just senseless yapping to try and justify what she did here. You can't do that. It's borderline criminal. So she posted it, 5 million of her Instagram followers to see, which, of course, made Jax Films and his wife feel very unsafe in their home.
See, guys, I also like Charlie. Guys, we people need to approach this as unbiased as possible when you're giving takes like that. Borderline criminal, no. There's a reason why we have a criminal code of the law. Okay, something is criminal or it's not, flat out. Okay, it's a crime or it's not a crime. Saying like borderline criminal, dude, you guys, it's just terminology I don't like. I don't like it. It's not terminology that I think should be used when it doesn't apply, flat out.
And since then, she hasn't said anything about it. I think it's only a matter of time before she makes an apology video. It's really just an if.
This guy says, wait till someone doxes your house. Brother, I got doxed 1,000 times. Bro, I've had the police at my house probably more often than you've had the mailman show up. Okay? Literally. And I think you're losing your fucking mind on this. My address has multiple business names on the dot on Google Maps. Okay? Imagine thinking that at this point you're gonna fucking hold it above my head, bitch ass. Okay? This guy's. How do we tell this guy, guys? How do we tell him? How do we tell him? How do we tell this guy? This is just fucking being dumb. Okay? Listen. If you want to go with the law, here's how the law works in that regard for doxing. Okay? regardless, okay, let's say there's like a fucking a thread here, okay, and there's info there that leads to like a public registry or whatever the fuck, right? And you're over here, right? And you're watching a video of this guy makes a video, okay? The guy finds the info, right? Through this and that, and there's a way to get there. It's not doxing, okay? From what I understand, there was a direct link with a public business name, right? A public business name, some LLC, some shit like that. That goes back to his brand or his name, and by proxy, is him. So there's just a way to get there. Is my understanding. Okay. I'm not assuming. Is what we were saying. If that's the case, that's just how it is. If some people in chat was saying this very earlier, if you're very European, in some European countries, if you pay taxes, you are literally on the public registry. Sorry, there's this thing. Oh, this is my fan. Which means, if you pay taxes, you're on the internet. Literally some shit. Yeah, there's some countries that are like that. Absolutely 100%. So you can literally look at somebody and look at all their shit. Oh, I guess it's not true. It is true in some fucking European countries. There's a couple. Okay. I mean, it's not true. It's true. So yes, this process is immoral. In most eyes, it's just flat out wrong. But in an instance like this, if this is the case, it is not a crime, unfortunately. It is not a crime, which doesn't make a person a criminal or borderline criminal. It's just not a crime in the way that it's done. Therefore, using that type of terminology shouldn't be used. Flat out. End of story. Boom. Just, I don't know why people justify this. Like, it's just annoying.
Instead of, nope. The expression is, it's a matter of when.
Exactly. There's also no call to action. Absolutely. True.
Instead of if. I think it's inevitable. The only thing that remains to be seen is where it's going to rank on the YouTuber apology tier list. So that's the only question I have left about that. But this is only the beginning of a really bad week for Sniper Wolf. She's having a worse week than King Kong fans right now with the release of the worst fucking game of the year, Rise of Kong. She also had a lot of people digging through her catalog of content, and they found something very not good. Very, weird, let's say. I can't show you anything here because I think there is a chance that it's completely against YouTube's terms. It's her encouraging some...
Okay, even if she posted it online, okay? If the material is found on public database bullshit, it's shitty, it's immoral, it's wrong. I'm over it, dude. I'm over it. You guys are like children.
Seemingly underage individuals to do some...
She's a convicted felon. Oh my god. I can't display it, man. I'm just gonna let the video play.
Degenerate acts on video, and the way she encouraged them was almost like a wager you'd see out of a bad Brazzers film. She wagered her tits, saying that if these underage-looking individuals did what she asked them to do, she'd show tits. This was a video back in like 2014. They do it, and then like one of the kids' moms walks in. It's like very fucking odd, awful shit. And this is just another, you know, alarming thing that Sniper Wolf has in the backlog of her lore. As I was rendering this video, people found another seemingly illegal, potentially, piece of content that Sniper Wolf has on her channel. In this video, she's talking to strangers on Omegle, and then she meets this girl who says that she's 16, and then agrees to show each other their boobs, and the 16-year-old flashes the camera which Sniper Wolf does censor, but that doesn't make it okay. I'm pretty
Bro,
sure that's
what is
still
happening?
illegal. You can't just have an underage person being sexual on video and then just say, hey, wait a minute, Buster, it's fine because it's censored.
Bro, now reverse the roles on that. Now reverse the roles, though.
It's like, what the fuck? And the video is still up right now. And in the whole clip, it's not like there was some, like, you know, just kidding, not actually 16, actually in my 20s. There was nothing like that. After that happens, Sniper Wolf just said that, you know, she's fake like her or whatever, and then disconnects. So,
Boom. I think it's sad, the state of the internet, that you guys say, now defend it. Bro, that's the whole point of the legal system. If you're right about something, you get defended, right? For being right? And then you win. And then in another instance, if you do something else, there's two separate issues. One doesn't affect the other. Okay? If somebody gets called a criminal for doing something that's not criminal, they're in this instance, they're not a criminal. And if they do a crime, now they're a criminal. One doesn't affect the other. Like mutually exclusive, because they entered that term. Like, my God, dude.
really, it seems like she just had a minor flash the camera on a YouTube video. It's fucking crazy. Now I'm going to go ahead and mention something I've seen a few comments talking about to explain what actually happened in this clip here. And I don't know if this is like the Sniper Wolf Defense Squadron operating under DEFCON protocol, so they're in full force trying to figure out any way of explaining this really awful shit. But I'm going to go ahead and share this anyway, just to be complete with the subject. There's some people saying that that wasn't actually a 16-year-old, it was a bot that was just spamming the chat, and Sniper Wolf was like reacting to it, knowing it was a bot, knowing it wasn't an actual 16-year-old.
Doesn't matter.
And that the person, the girl in the video clip, was just a like cam model or something that's supposed to drive people
Doesn't matter though. You're fostering a behavior that's not okay, so it doesn't matter.
to some kind of cam site. I don't know enough about Omegle to know if that's something that happens, but regardless, this is still an extremely concerning clip. But rest assured, Sniper Wolf fans, there's still one person, rather one entity, still very much on the side of Sniper Wolf, and that's YouTube. This is the update I want to give today. It wasn't so much just going over like where everything's at here. It's YouTube's response to all this, because it is so big, and doxing is, you know, it's borderline criminal, of course. What would YouTube's response be? They have cracked down on that kind of activity very hard in the past. So, obviously, most people were expecting some kind of action to be taken. It's just wondering what. So far, they've only made like vague references to it or vaguely talked around it. There hasn't been any kind of statement from them about what they plan to do about this situation, aside from a couple of tidbits that they've talked about that seem to indicate that they're not going to do anything.
Scums in the chat are bullying me. Online cyberbullying is a crime. Criminals in chat, self-report.
But I don't think anything's 100% confirmed as like this is the path they're taking. But they have publicly made this tweet
I think I'm gonna cry.
in the midst of all this. Would it be too meta to do a reaction video to a reaction video? Which is such a lame fucking ChatGPT generated tweet. That is like the most how do you do fellow kids shit ever. And comes at the worst possible time because Sniper Wolf is a reactor to TikTok content and all that. So clearly this is very poorly timed, unless of course this is their way of like trying to show support for Sniper Wolf, which it very well could be. They have made a lot of tweets about her, all very positive. In fact, this whole situation between Jax Films and Sniper Wolf really started catching fire when YouTube themselves made a tweet saying, "Where does Sniper Wolf get her ideas?" And then they also made another one talking about how, like, Sniper Wolf is our turbo super creator of the year. Unbelievable. So just like these very, very positive, pumping their fist Sniper Wolf fan tweets. This one, of course, got community noted. For additional context, it needs to be known that this tweet was written in the wake of a controversy regarding a reaction YouTuber, Sniper Wolf, who recently leaked the personal information of a fellow creator on the platform, Jax Films, and then it cites one of the many sources. I almost can't help but be impressed and like appreciate how bold this tweet from YouTube is here, though. To just drop this shit would be too meta to react to a reaction video. Oh, Like, they know this is going on. Like, they have loosely acknowledged the situation in a couple of tweets.
That's a classic
Like, they
Falan.
know this is happening. Because everyone on the internet knows that this is happening right now. This is the hottest shit there is. This shit is leaving the toilet bowl steaming, it's so hot. They can't be oblivious to it. But whatever ghoul is running this account must be really kept isolated in some kind of sensory deprivation tank, cut off from the rest of the world, and forced to just occasionally drop a bad tweet, because there is just some crazy disconnect here to think that this tweet was a good idea. Because I really don't believe that what they're trying to do with this is, you know, slyly, you know, hey, Sniper Wolf's pretty fucking awesome, right? Like, in the middle of this, I don't think they'd be that dumb. I don't think they'd be that stupid. I really think this is just like a poorly timed bad tweet from them. Of course, I have
I'm
no
just
evidence to
confused.
corroborate that theory. It's just me here thumbing my ass, just speculating. It's at the end of the day, it's just a game theory. I just really don't believe that they would be so bold to just, in the middle of this, give like a big nod to Sniper Wolf. The entire internet is waiting on bated breath to see what they're going to do. Jax Films is calling for like demonetization.
Interesting.
Or like even deplatforming because of the severity of the rule breaking. A lot of other people are rallying behind those things as well. The bare minimum people are looking to see is some kind of punishment issued to Sniper Wolf here
Yeah.
in order to, you know, prove to the community that
What is
YouTube
that?
isn't playing favorites when it comes to their most extreme rules. And I don't think that's an unreasonable request to just want to know, what are you going to do about it, YouTube? Because
I don't do shit. What can you do? YouTube just fucking sucks. Chat, Joe, what's the crime that happened?
But right now, look at that freeway is, and the speed's still even under 65 miles an hour here.
You're still on the...
Yeah, this is a little bit of an unusual situation because there's a banner hanging out of that sunroof.
Wait, is that Kenya? What is that?
What that banner represents, but we're going to try and get that for you, and that's just definitely another angle that we're going to be following for this pursuit of armed.
Is that Ghana?
Being, as this pursuit comes around the
Oh my god!
around this on a ramp, we're going on to the north.
Wait, Chad, they're going hard on this one. Hold up.
Continuing back to where this pursuit actually was for a lot of the time. When we first picked up the radio signals of this pursuit, this driver
Bro,
was going
6
kind of
SUVs back to back. Man, that's pretty rare actually. This one's delayed.
Manchester and LAPD was kind of keeping it in that.
Pretty odd. And now we'll see. There's lots of different in this particular area here. We're in the Harbor Gateway area now as we continue to move. So Grand Theft Auto, that means that sometimes they don't know who the suspect is because it's hard to get a sense of what car they're driving. We also don't know if the suspect was
It wasn't delayed?
armed
Link it again.
at the time that they allegedly...
Open like that. We don't know if there are more people involved. We have at least the one driver there seeing wearing a white shirt. Doesn't look
Link it
like
again?
anybody in the back seat.
Chat,
Don't know if
link
there's a
to the one.
passenger. That
Apparently it's not
driver
delayed.
fiddling around. There was something in the car, possibly a cell phone. But interesting, they would keep that
You can
top
assume
window
it's a cell phone, but if they're armed suspects, it could also be a weapon of sort at this point.
That is true, Philip. You're
A
absolutely
weapon?
right. But again, we do see that one person inside the driver's seat. But those
Yo,
windows
zoom
are
out, man.
awfully
Zoom out,
tinted,
brother.
so we can't really get a good gauge of what's going on in the back seat.
Well, Gabe, as you look at this, we saw people merging onto the freeway.
Is it delayed?
at the same rate
No,
of
it's not.
speed as this suspect. So while this person is going across the freeway from one side to the other, if you're just merging on, you don't even know what is happening here because it's not as if this is a high rate of speed.
Armed robbery.
No, we are not going at a high rate of speed, which is a little interesting here because where this pursuit suspect actually is, going northbound on the 110, passing the 91.
He just disappeared.
A little further back, there wasn't that much traffic to deal with. But now as we progress northbound, Colleen, as you were saying, you start to...
He's at a render.
Kind of... work in between that zone where there's stop and go traffic as you approach the 105 and as you continue northbound through downtown, and you can see there a little bit of traffic building. The suspect going all the way over, using all those lanes to that far right lane, using a bit of the shoulder.
Black rims, chat.
LAPD not taking any chances.
Chat, blacked out rims.
The suspect, and there's an open gap of no traffic here. You can see that box truck getting out of the
Classic.
way. They hear the lights, they see the sirens, and they're hopefully, you know, going to do their best to try and stay out of the way. And we hope that all drivers do that when you see.
I'm not yapping. I'm not yapping.
Hear those sirens and see the lights coming your way. We hope that people will not try and get involved in this.
My theory is that blacked out rims drivers, even with those cars, usually don't go fast and do crazy shit.
Possibly a weapon. We don't know. We do know that LAPD is treating this as a possibly armed suspect, and they have been driving relatively.
I'm just saying. It's mathematics.
On this 110 northbound, passing Redondo Beach Boulevard, kind of thinking about whether they
I'm
want to
warning
take
with a
that exit,
big
and
sample
now
size
we're
here.
leaning a little bit more towards the left, which means this driver is going to commit to the 110 northbound. You know, and we're going to go towards South LA, and LAPD still staying close behind this one.
Yeah, you cannot expect to go much further north on the 110 freeway and not hit significant
ABC
traffic
without a delay?
I mean, this person is driving, but that's
okay. Person is driving. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-second delay.
Going across.
It's actually pretty good. I can see on the thermometer if this guy does a die or something.
One of those things that I've always found very troubling in these chases because it's just something that the person who's in their commute, doing their best just to get home, is not waiting on. You're not expecting that, and you certainly don't see 7 police cars coming on the heels of this. So it's very
true. That's why I said earlier.
This person at this point is not going.
The cops are lagging behind on purpose.
Usual speeds to try to elude authorities, but it is a very dangerous pursuit, and it could get much worse as this person gets into traffic if we find out he's armed or if they are armed.
This is a suspect.
No, it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that they do that.
Robbery suspect, but we do not know exactly where the armed robbery may have taken place. So again, we do treat this as a suspected armed robbery suspect. And again,
it's not Germany flag. I think it's
going in and out.
I think it's
of
Ghana.
lanes and then going into that fast pass area. So
what's he doing?
Yeah, Gabe, I see we can hear you too, Gabe.
Yeah, Colleen, we got a tip here from our assignment desk who's also monitoring.
Okay.
C7 Los Angeles app, but we're going to go to World News Tonight with David Muir next.
We'll be back for Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you on the stream.
Eyewitness News. Oh, what's he doing? Yo, are you sucking my?
Tonight, several
Who the fuck are you?
The air just outside.
I don't give a shit. Oh my God, this guy, dude.
Here, that's part of the 105 freeway. So this is what we were kind of concerned about. Was now headed back into LAX's airspace. We will need to be getting permission from LAX to continue with this, and hopefully they will just stick with the freeway to the other side towards downtown LA. So we'll give you the best shot we can here, but as I
hopefully they
now
stick
into the express lanes to
this
avoid
commentator. What the fuck?
Northbound 110.
Yeah, you really called it, Desmond. The 110 and the 105 traffic would start getting heavy on
this
Thursday
guy.
afternoon. This is exactly what we're seeing. A robbery pursuit suspect giving chase here. LAPD behind.
Yeah, it's just very content brains like
Mike and Desmond
guys.
are telling us
Because
here,
I hope we
CHP
continue on
has
this so we
not
can
been called in
get the
yet
footage
to
out of
join
it.
This pursuit. So far, the LAPD continuing chase here of what we think, Amy, is just one person.
Why are the left
behind the
lanes
wheel there. We don't know if
empty?
there's someone else inside the car. What we did see earlier was a little bit of agitation, a lot of moving around. I think he had his cell phone in his hand too, from what we could see. And again, the big mystery here of what that banner or flag is. You said Ghana. We also heard it could be maybe Jamaica.
Yeah.
So it could be a towel. It could be a sarong. Who knows what it is? But
it's for carpools or 2+ passengers.
If you're
But there's
trying
a
to get away
bus
from
though.
Police, I mean, you're basically letting them know this is where you're at because
That's
it's so
not
easy to
Jamaica.
spot, right?
Exactly.
Yo,
And that,
yo,
you know, change
Jamaica
of
is
lanes
sideways.
into the express lanes. That's been about the most aggressive we've seen this driver go. Then rolling up the windows, it appeared that he was closing the
Bolivia.
sunroof as well, trying to. It almost seemed as though he was trying to pull the flag in, but we don't know. The sunroof is still open, but the windows have certainly gone up. And they are tinted, so we cannot see if there is anyone else in the back. But at this point, it does appear that it's just one person in that car. This pursuit starting about 40 minutes or so ago.
Yeah, I would say about 40 minutes ago. And I just, for context for everyone, we are about 2 exits away from where this started. So I'm very curious to see if he tries to get off the 110 and go back onto surface streets where he does. And if that happens, it's going to be really difficult for SkyCal because for people who don't know, the 110 right here is in what's called Bravo airspace, and we're not allowed to stop along the 110. We have to continue north to get out of the airspace here. So if he gets off the freeway here, we'll probably lose him. But I'm just curious to see that if he gets off where this all started or if he's going to go into some new territory.
Bravo
He has
airspace.
returned to this area. And, you know, even when it started, he got on the 110, got off the 110, and was kind of going up and down north and south right in this area until he finally stayed
it's
on the
Bolivia.
110 and went down to the 105.
Well, it could be Ghana and Bolivia, it's the same colors, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see if maybe that's home, maybe he knows that area. That's always you know, a question about exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, a lot of times they know that
gonna
they
go to
stick
jail.
an area that they were very familiar with. You wonder sometimes if they are trying to set things up so that they can, you know, run into a home or try to get help from someone. Of course, we can see this cruiser is close behind.
Jesus, dude, that's funny.
This driver still refusing to pull over. This person may have been involved in a robbery. We do know that there were at least 2 cars involved at one point.
Yeah, that's what it was a little conflicting right at the beginning, but it did sound like that there were at least multiple suspects, possibly 2 cars. Because we did, when we were initially listening to this, we did hear one of the cars pull over and people got out of the car. Now, it's of course possible that they were just passengers in this car and this has all been the same car, but that's a little bit conflicting what we're trying to sort out right now. But we do know that this car continued on from wherever the other people got out of the car and officers were trying to detain them in that South LA area. And, you know, as we're talking, we're basically passing where this whole thing started right now on Slauson. So, again, it doesn't look like he's getting over, as Des was talking about, staying in those express lanes. And interesting, it looks like he's got room to run, but they're not really going higher than freeway speed limits.
And Mike, talking about, once again, that flight restriction, when does it open up once again? You said
I was wondering,
keep going north.
do they increase the fine that they get to, or how bad the crime is based on how long the chase is?
And the police helicopter. So when basically to be under the commercial aircraft that are coming into LAX, we have to be at a much lower altitude. And if there's a police helicopter under us, obviously everyone gets kind of squished together there. So we don't stay on pursuits in the Bravo airspace because of the safety concerns with the aircraft overhead as well as the police helicopters down below. So the Bravo ends basically right around USC, which we're actually coming up on here pretty quickly. So as long as he continues north and makes it through the north end of the Bravo, then we should be free to kind of move around. This would be the first time that he's come this far north.
So news helicopters fly higher than police helicopters. Police can fly a little lower, right?
Correct, yeah. For example, the police helicopter that's on this right now is at about 500 feet, it looks like, and SkyCal's at 900. Now, generally, SkyCal likes to be at 12 to 1,300, but we can't do this in that area because of the planes that are landing on top of us.
Absolutely.
Very interesting, right?
And it really is, and we're just continuing to watch, and this driver still hasn't, you know, really exceeded.
I don't think he's holding a flag anymore. I think he has it like tucked in somewhere, or like
clearly this person
latched
refusing
on
to stop, but seems to be, for the most part, following the rules of the road, which certainly is a good thing. We all know that these pursuits, while all dangerous, they are a bit safer on the freeways because everyone is heading in the same direction. You don't have the pedestrians out there. You don't have the stoplights. You don't have the people that are not expecting a car to be at this speed, but
it's obviously safer, right, on the freeway.
True.
And you know, we talk about, just the other night we did a story about you know, dangerous pursuits and how they can be deadly, and one of the factors is, of course, speed, and that is probably a pretty decent reason why LAPD is continuing with this, because we haven't seen those crazy high speeds or the reckless driving, even as we're coming now well
that
below
has
freeway
nothing to do with
speeds.
it.
It does look like it's getting a little heavier traffic there, so maybe that's why he's slowing down. But yeah, nothing terribly crazy speed-wise.
It has to do a little bit of it, but not the whole thing.
Suspect. So LAPD also does the tracking mode where the ground units will back off because of the want of this vehicle, because it's wanted for robbery. It may not be eligible for tracking. There are certain.
It's mostly depending on what's the initial crime, and if the person's armed or not, and if he's going to be dangerous to other people around them.
The entire time. That's possible that robbery is one of those things that is not eligible for tracking.
Is that probably because
and then they stop or continue pursuit
very
based on the risk that this guy poses to people around him.
Back. Hey, Desmond, let's chat with you here. What's going on over here?
Yeah. I suspected that the driver was going to do that. My pilot, Jeff, was telling me that the express lanes were stopped up ahead. And the reason for that, I have to wonder if LAPD was trying to get a spike strip set up, because if they would have continued farther, they would have been forced onto where the express lanes end at Adams, which would have been a perfect place for LAPD to set up some spike strips or something
Yo,
like
put
that.
your
Of course, now
blinkers
we
on.
are kind of underneath that flyover. Yeah, look at that. Look, you had that unit that was right there. I would not be surprised at all if they had some spike strips going on. We'll try to get to the east side of the 110 around this. The flyovers will be ending shortly. And, yep, here we go. Okay. And there is the suspect. So now in the center divider. So that is not a legal lane. That's not an express lane. That is the center divider that the suspect is in, about 45 miles an hour here as they get around that really, really awful traffic.
Man, this traffic, this traffic is fucking awful. Oh my God.
And really, anywhere the suspect goes
What
on the
a
freeway,
piece
they're
of
going to be
shit.
in some really, really gnarly traffic. It is just the beginning of afternoon rush hour, and I think the center divider is going to end right there as well. Let's
They're
see how
completely
they
stopped.
get out of this one, but we're finally at least past the flyover, and we should be able to bring you a shot.
Chad, what if every car on the highway decides to just stop and make a line of stopped cars? This guy's done, no?
Restricted area?
We are north of that, but now, you know, if we continue into downtown, it's going to be a totally separate issue with all of the tall buildings, and whatnot that can create, you know, other problems for us. So we'll just see what the suspects.
No way they ran forward. They break the engine.
Earlier, you know, they were headed towards LAX and making it a really difficult decision for us. We were trying to decide how are we going to get to this, because you have to make a decision with either going down the 110 or over towards the 405. You know, you can't go direct.
How is there traffic with a billion lanes? It's insane.
It almost seemed like maybe the suspect was doing that on purpose. Oh, just threw something out the window. Wow, that looked like, we'll have to, boy, that happened so quickly.
Real fast.
Something out the window. It looked like it could have been a gun. It could have been a cell phone.
Was that a gun?
Some kind of black object. Almost looked to me like it might have been a gun, though. We'll certainly check out the replay, maybe in slow-mo. It happened so quickly there, but tossing something.
I didn't see it. I was doing chest.
South of the 110.
Yeah, we're going to be re-queuing that video in just a moment there, Desmond, to see if we can highlight the area and see exactly what he threw out there. But
if drivers stopped lane swapping,
Grand Theft Auto pursuit. So my guess is,
and just chose their lane properly,
part of
they wouldn't be with that much traffic.
The problem here, the car was stolen. At least what we're looking at right here, traffic is a lot heavier. This suspect has been on the 110 freeway heading north for a long stretch of time. He was in the express lanes.
Yo, put the replay, man.
Back into some traffic when he saw the possibility of a spike strip.
He did the fucking D-Link glitch fucking exit.
He's getting off the freeway. Is that right, Des?
Making the transition here. It looks like they're going to be going eastbound on
Not
the
bad.
10, I believe, is where this is going to lead us. Let's see. Actually, as we come around on this one, so here we are over that.
Oh, they're getting way closer.
110 interchange, and you can see just how brutal the traffic is.
I can probably rewind. Should we rewind it?
Direction. So actually, we're going to be going westbound on the 10, westbound 10, north 110 to the westbound 10 towards the West LA area.
And you know,
again,
the thing is that there isn't going to be a wide open freeway at this time of day in LA. And you know, it's rare that they can use a spike strip or do a pit maneuver on a freeway. So this is
Here's the replay right here, Amy. Let's take a look if we can see what he threw out there. Yeah,
that is a gun, actually.
Desmond, we just replayed the video. Something clearly was thrown into the brush there by the freeway. So hopefully we'll be able to take another look at it and try to figure out what it was. I'm guessing it's not a cell phone.
No, I'm guessing it's not right.
The mag fell out too.
And definitely something that they wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
And we'll certainly, I'm sure, hear soon from police if they.
Apparently, the police got it already.
We'll hear if they are able to identify what that item
Why
was.
would he do that, though?
Again, this driver still. You know, not.
Why would he do it like
too
under a
fast.
bridge or something like that? When the cameras are not gonna pick it up.
It's because of all the traffic that is on the 10.
Well, on
right
a turn.
now.
On a,
Again,
like,
this person has been sticking to the 110.
You guys are just fucking stupid.
On the west side of the 10.
Heading westbound on the 10, traffic.
A tunnel entry or an exit bracket in a tunnel.
People head back
on a turn
into the valleys.
Cameras didn't pick it up. Cars behind it pick it up and just chuck it. He could have actually ducked it.
To the 405 freeway, we are going to see traffic pick up there as well, but very different. I mean, he made the wise choice here. He jumped on the 10 westbound, and we are seeing a lot less traffic of this robbery Grand Theft Auto suspect who has led police
Well, if you think about it,
now for about
If it's like an illegal gun, it's a massive charge.
5 minutes or
Yeah,
so.
we're getting close to an hour soon here that they just have been refusing to pull over. And if you are just joining us, we
An
are
hour.
watching as this person, at least one person, we don't know if there's anyone else in that car that has been leading police on
An
a
hour?
pursuit. This person was involved in a robbery. Has not been driving too erratically, but sticking pretty close to the speed limits at this point.
Mike Rogers over at the
Oh,
desk. I know
maybe
you've been checking some
he
traffic
dumped the
maps and some
gun
other things,
to show the
what do you
cop that
have
they're
for us?
unarmed.
Yeah, I was listening to. I'm sorry, I was looking at our next traffic maps and just even though we're going westbound, I mean it is.
So they don't
it
get
is
shot
a
or
lot
whatever.
more clear. It does
Think
kind
about
of
it,
hang
Tim.
up as we get back towards the 405 though. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, again, I was also trying to check and see if there was any. It looked like a helicopter may have kind of doubled back. There was.
I know
at
it's
one
not how
point
it
looked
works.
like there might have been 2 helicopters.
It's kinda-
on
it's
this.
kinda
It looked
worse,
like one of
actually.
them may have doubled back where that item was thrown out. So they'll have trailing officers. So the way LAPD sets up they call it a pursuit package. For this pursuit, they ask for 4 units and a supervisor to be in the pursuit package. So that's what they've got. Those are the ones that are officially in the pursuit, lights and sirens. But then you'll also have additional units that are kind of trailing. They're not technically in it, but they're there
Whoa.
in case it comes to an end. So likely what is happening is
Despite
you have
the
one of those
mess.
trailing units stop and search the shoulder there for whatever threw out, because it was clear as day. I was playing the tape back here that he threw something out to me. And again, this is just from what I saw. I haven't heard this on the radio or anything. It did look like a weapon to me. So
Let's check it out
if we
then.
saw it, I'm sure LAPD saw it. The units behind them saw it. So somebody is trying to recover that weapon. And luckily, if there is a bright side to all of this, he threw it out on the dirt on the shoulder. We've seen times where they'll throw something out in the middle of the freeway, and then CHP has to shut down the entire freeway as they do an article search, is what they call it. So
Nah, it's a gun.
luckily that didn't happen, and hopefully
The
we
mag
don't have
fell
any
too.
impact to the already really jammed up 110. But that's what we're talking about right now. And we were able to get the Grand Theft Auto portion of this confirmed as well, which means the vehicle is stolen.
That's a gun. It's gotta be.
Which is one of the other reasons that they are not letting this go, because if they knew who the registered owner was, if they knew who the suspect was, then there may have been some talk about leaving it or letting it go. But if they don't know who this person is, they think the car is stolen, and they're robbery suspects, and we don't know the nature of the robbery either. I think that's why they're really not letting this
Interesting,
go.
yeah.
And very interesting to me that they're not turning it over to CHP. Even if it's a robbery pursuit, I've definitely seen them turn it over to CHP pretty quick. So there's something about this
Bro,
that the
fucking
LAPD
highway
wants it, they
Andes,
wanna keep
dude.
it. And you still have these officers from 77th Division who are now way out of their normal
With CHP,
area.
it's the other
So
police
this is not a
department.
case for a robbery homicide, right? For the detectives with LAPD.
It depends. It depends on the circumstances.
This was
Robbery,
like
homicide,
California
RHD doesn't always-
fucking
RHD,
highway
doesn't always
patrol.
take every robbery or homicide case. It's kind of the more serious ones.
There you go.
So the division could be handling it, or the bureau could be handling it. It just depends on the circumstances.
Why does this feel like I'm playing Overwatch?
Guys, I can hear you guys in the game apparently.
It's not push to talk. It just doesn't work. I'll turn it off. Can you still hear me?
We're good.
Not on this phone.
And man, the game's a walking bug. Literally, it's a walking bug. I'm sorry. Like, it's kind of insane, even though it's a playtest. Things like push to talk, being automatic talk on menu mode is like ridiculous.
And this shit is so fucking loud.
It's something you would figure out when you literally launch the game and test. How does it get through the fucking QA? Guys, remember, you queue heals, so we need to heal each other, like, all the time. Also, when you want to res, use 4 instead of using your fucking normal res. It's a quick res.
Bro, we are fucking in line like a unit right now, guys.
No, we are kind of busting
Looking
now.
from the back, it is looking nice.
We're like sardines in a fucking pot right now. It's kind of insane.
Uh-huh. Wait, this is like Mirror's Edge. This is kind of sick, bro. What the fuck? This is legit.
Upstairs?
Not getting blocked.
This is so fucking loud. Oh my god, my ears.
You're a little ahead. You would hit me with a heal? Talk me up? Oh, that's big.
Oh, this is some Team Fortress 2 shit. Okay.
Yep, medic.
Alright, guys, listen. Guys, I shouldn't be allowed to fucking play this game right now with how bad my aim is.
Why?
Like, this is just embarrassing, guys. I think I'm disconnected right now. I'm not playing this. I can heal you.
He's almost dead. He's almost dead.
Behind you.
I'm on a tree.
I'm juicing you.
Oh, juicing me. Juice.
I'm juicing you. Go.
This is
Fight.
crazy.
Fight.
What the fuck? On us, I'm dead.
Oh, I'm in the reload. I'm going. Grenade. What the fuck? What the fuck? I just tossed napalm. What the fuck is that?
Res you, go.
Oh my god, I'm on fire though. I'm on fire. I'm on
Okay,
fire.
we're healing you. You're Juggernaut, go.
I'm going.
Heal me a little bit.
We have to grab the bags, right? The money bags?
No, take it down. We're good.
Oh fuck!
On me. Above us. Oh my god, I'm fucking just getting fucked.
I'm out of heals.
I don't know what I'm doing.
He's low, down.
He's less than half.
XQCL.
Your shot.
One shot.
Nice headshot.
The low. Heal me. Guys.
On the bottom.
Guys. Use your.
No.
Playdate when?
Okay, do we need like a YouTube video with the new build? I have to go like 10-0. Okay, this is the thing. This is the new plan. We're gonna turn off chat, so I can't type. And if I accidentally type, I'll type to myself. Good. I can control myself. Okay, how's the music? We gotta fix everything. Yes, good, bad. Okay, this lane's actually hard though, like early game. Okay, reptile brain, give the entire lane. Oh. I'ma just legit sit here and do absolutely nothing. Cause like I can't play this lane anyway. Controlling the reptile brain. Okay, to be fair, I'm down 5 CS, so it's not that bad. And at 6 we'll just kill the Karma anyway. It's kinda tricky though, we don't even know.
Good morning, sir.
I mean, this isn't even bad, but Pastan is here. So he invades for nothing. Okay, I like it. Downfall says 1 wave, but this is really good. What? Look! 24 to... Now what? Did he miss CS? Or did I just get them? Okay, well, we died. Ow! No! Why is he pinging? What are you pinging for? We don't have Ignite. Does he know we're not having Ignite? He has Exhaust.
Where?
Well, what do we do about this? It's completely fine. I still don't know why he has Exhaust in Rakan Twitch lane. Did he push this fast enough? Dude, you have AIDS. Like, the amount of pings this is doing for no reason. What is pings mute? Oh yeah, this was great. We could have just bagged like 2 happy flies. What do we do now? Ah, Graves is f***ing in there to win it. Oh, man is dead. And do you know why this happened? Does anyone know why this happened? Because Rakan pinged us to stay the entire time. That is the only reason this happened. No, we're not gonna turn the chat on. We are not going to turn it on. Blame them. But I'm telling you, we should have backed, and he's just spam pinging to stay the entire time. Probably win competitive. I mean, this guy's never gonna. Oh, what? Give me the cannon! No. Do I dare say? Winnable. Gets 1 kill, winnable, but that gets 1 kill on me. It's like 10 for enemy team. Great. Do we win all in? I think we could when he's 6. My 6 is this. I can't see his 6 though. Should we took it all in the karma. The only reason we're losing is because we didn't reset, not Tristy's bot. He knows Tristy's bot or not. I mean, what am I watching? Why doesn't he have aggro? No? Why? What? Why did... How did my Rakan... Did he not see the twist? Because he walked through a ward to bot lane. And then he just walked into the twist and died. I might die here. If I was them, I would be in this bush.
Have a good day.
It's almost like I am right as always. One great ping for the road. Okay, Rihanna though. Not bad. What is it? Holy mother of God, the guy's fed. Wait, bait it. How bad is this twist? What is wrong with that guy? Or is it just inting? Oh no. Wait! Nah, this is f***ing it. There is something unbelievably wrong with that Tristana. He's like trying to buffer the jump all the time, but he's just failing it. Okay, I'm not doing that dragon, bro. That is not happening. Wait, how?
3.5 years, damn boy.
What are they doing? What do you mean, Oriana? What the f do you mean? What about me? It's my pings.
Spin on it.
Cannon? Oh! Hey! Okay, tournament. Okay, this. How did he? Oh. What? How are they dead? It's kinda hard to play this game until I get like a few items, because Diana will one-shot me. Okay, but we have to permaban this guy. Hello? Is he filled? He has failed every single W.
IRL is human friend.
Do I kill this? If I I would kill it. Okay, he used E, that's good.
Rat IRL is human friend.
Look my E! He dies. Oh, thank God. Okay.
IRL is human friend.
We are in it to win it. Nice. That would win. You can't buff a Trish W versus knockups.
I think last time I watched you was during Elden Ring Ratter lose.
What do you mean? I mean, we're gonna die here. Where are we?
Ratter business.
Oh my, Rakan is so unbelievably broken. It's like hard because it's such a close space that if I die to Diana, I give 900 gold. Yeah, see? He's just trying to like get me. Okay. So like I have to play really, really safe. That's flash, right? I don't want to all that. It's whatever. You're so aware. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty smart, but then I just don't listen to my brain, and I die anyway. It's like the bot play. I know Twist is in the bush, but I'm like, but what if the 1% that he isn't in there gets me the wave, and I hopefully then I die. See, like Diana's gonna kill us here, right? Hit him once. I should have all that maybe. But I'm kind of lacking damage. I need to not arm.
Bear, heart, turkey, bear, heart, turkey, bear, heart, turkey.
Aced them. Can I get the cannon? Can I get the cannon?
Turkey, bear, heart, turkey, bear, heart.
What? Are you kidding me? No! If I got to like... it was maybe too much of a stomp. That's a tuber? That is not a fucking tuber. Oh, we won.
Hello, I've just gotten back into shot. And, it's taken a little bit to set this up. We've got to get very close because my camera is that short that who knows, mate. But hello, Ibrahim Alami. It's nice to speak to you. How are you enjoying Korea so far?
Career's pretty nice. I'm surprised you know my real name. Usually, my
You know why? It's because last night I'm so jet lagged because I came from the UK, 15 hours. So last night I decided I just started singing your name like it was a John Legend song. Ibrahim, all of me loves all of you.
I haven't thought about that. You know, my own
That could
girlfriend.
be a good thing
My
for-
own girlfriend doesn't even call me by my first name.
She should learn that song and sing it to you.
Yeah, she should actually.
That would be really good.
Wife her up.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't fuck with that, by the way. Dude, if a girl calls me Dom, like, yeah, she doesn't know me.
I would instantly if someone made my name into a John Legend song. That's crazy. That's a crazy.
I'm not a big fan of John Legend, to be honest.
Fuck you, John Legend,
Yeah, I
mate.
fucking hate John Legend.
You recently lost the finals in what many are considering the biggest upset in history. But I mean, I know that you're sort of a proud migrant, and I've got a theory that it was
Tommy,
actually.
please. You guys gotta shut the fuck up. You guys need to shut the fuck up.
Like a Coming to America Eddie Murphy thing where you lost on purpose so that
If you're my fucking girlfriend, you better call me Christian. You better not call me Dom. That's all I'm saying.
you could help some of the migrants on Team NRG get their visa applications through. Would you care to comment on that conspiracy theory?
That's an interesting conspiracy theory. I'm not gonna say that I purposely lost, you know.
Might have sandbagged a bit though.
Yeah, I mean, no,
come on,
I would never,
that's silly
I would
for me.
never do that.
Silly for me.
Yeah, that's silly.
I wanted to ask, do the words digna petimus mean anything to you?
Trying to figure out a way you could twist this to make me say something weird.
It's not like a D's nuts joke.
Okay,
it is
isn't
genuinely.
Digma petimus. No, what is
That's
that?
the motto of the school that you went to.
What school did I go to?
You went to, God, let me get it down here. You went to Mount Gravatt High School in Brisbane. And that was your school motto, seek worthy things. I hope you didn't seek worthy things.
I remember
Not worthy
that.
thing there.
I feel like this is like a Nardwa interview kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know who that is?
I'm aware of who he is. Yeah, that's my dad.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
no,
crazy.
not really.
Oh,
that would be
I mean,
crazy.
we could just go
We
with
actually
that.
spoke to a few of your teachers for this interview. Do you remember your maths teacher, Miss
Nardwar
Lewis?
shit, bro. I love Nardwar. I fuck with Nardwar. That's why I fuck with Donjay.
Perhaps your science teacher, Miss Coots.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember any of them.
you
Well,
guys-
I kind
Achilles?
of dropped out of high school. Like I had like a 30% attendance rate.
It's good because I didn't actually speak to them. I just made it up.
Oh,
I just
okay.
googled what teachers went to your school. And
Okay.
I hoped that you'd be like, oh my God, how do you know them? But
I don't remember
the
them.
play's not worked out. You're a tall motherfucker. I mean, we can kind of see the difference here. I'm about 5'6", 5'7", short king.
Yeah, I
And
only got like a 2-inch dick though, unfortunately.
me or you?
Me.
I was going to say, how do you know?
Well, I'll find out soon.
Whoa,
Jesus, all right,
hey,
mate.
yo, what the fuck is going on in this interview? What the fuck am I paying for here? All right? Jesus.
I will be done.
God damn.
There's actually a rumor been starting recently. You're going to be giving up the LCS with Sven, and the both of you are going to go and be a franchise pairing at the Piltover Pistons.
The fuck is the Piltover Pistons? Is that some like Vi team or something?
No, it's an NBA team in League of Legends.
NBA team
The
in League
Piltover
of Legends.
Pistons, yeah.
NBA team in League of Legends.
Yeah. They're trying to make like an NFT metaverse NBA on the Rift.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's like NBA 2K kind of.
Yeah.
Big
but
sack 2-inch kings, yeah, bro. All sack, no dick. Fuck it.
LOL 2K.
How does that work? Like I'm gonna be.
I don't know. I'm not the fucking game dev, mate. Like,
well,
they
you're
made
the one that
fucking
brings
game.
it up, mate. You
I'm
wanna
just-
fucking
you
explain
want to
it to me.
apparently be the franchise pairing for the Piltover Pistons. Apparently, there's some other tall players that are going to be going to the the Bilgewater Bilge Rats. That's another franchise.
Yeah, I've heard about those actually. I heard they're spending big.
Yeah, they're spending.
Might be joining the Bilgewater.
There's-
What was it?
there's
Bilgewater
some-
Bilge Rats.
The Bilgewater Bilge Rats.
Yeah.
And then
Sounds good.
you made a tweet a year or so back, and I wanted to just ask you about this. I can't show you it,
Okay,
but it
show me,
says,
okay.
"I'm going berserker at Coachella. I'm on cloud 9 off a couple C9 perks right now. I really fudged up this time." Why did you say that
Bro,
right now?
That's
I
a piece of spit fly. Look, I see this.
Coachella. I'm on
Bro, fucking Don
on
Jacobs
cloud 9
got the
off a
players
couple
fucking spitting.
C9 perks right now. I really fudged up this time. Why did you say that?
Those perkies goes crazy.
Banger song, by the way. Mario Judah, like the only
Sorry,
one
I
who
was
dropped, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, that was a fun time. I don't remember much, but
Yeah.
I don't even remember making that tweet, to be honest. But I must have been that.
No, I don't remember either.
God
I
damn,
got sent it
getting
by
fucked
my
up.
researcher.
Your researcher.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's a researcher?
My uncle.
Bro, you can't be on the well, number one, you're off the perkies at Coachella? The fuck? Bro, I think you're doing the wrong drugs, I'm gonna be honest. You don't do the perkies for Coachella, man. Hell no. Hell no.
He's a used car salesman in a garage.
Makes sense.
Which is secretly my garage. Anyway, shout out to my uncle.
You have a house.
Yeah.
Surprising.
That's a bit demeaning of you, mate, but fair enough, you know.
Yeah.
Another school you went to later in life was the Islamic College of
You
Brisbane.
better not have a fucking house. Bro, if you have a fucking house and I'm paying this shit to get you there, I feel like I'm getting scammed. You better be fucking borderline homeless with how much I fucking paid. That's all I'm saying.
That was actually the first one.
First one,
Yeah,
sorry,
you
I
back straight,
apologise.
mate. Yeah.
I mean, this is quite funny. I'm not joking. It was actually next to a Korean Presbyterian church.
It was.
So I wanted to know, was that the first time that LS tried to convert you?
Okay.
He's had an eye on you from an early age, mate.
Jesus Christ, I don't remember. LS, when did LS first convert me?
Yeah.
Honestly, I was a big LS.
How old were you when you went to the?
Oh, when I went to Islamic College of Brisbane, I was like 5 till 9.
Did you ever like walk into school and there's just a man there? He's just sort of saying,
There was a lot of men in that
"Get
school.
your blue comps, get your red comps."
No, I don't remember much of that. I did wear, I think I actually wore a white uniform, which is in line,
I don't
think,
know. Yeah.
with his MTG philosophy on draft.
Yeah, no, that was the joke.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't know what
I
that
don't
is.
fucking know
Yeah,
what anything
exactly.
means. It's just
No,
funny.
okay.
It's just funny. I don't even know what blue and red makes. I think it's purple, maybe. Pretty sure.
It's like orange, no?
We'll get my researcher on that.
Maybe orange? No.
Oh, blue and purple makes orange. Oh, okay. Blue and red makes orange. Okay. Okay, enough. Bro, I'm not sipping lean, bro. I'm fucking drinking black coffee out the solo cup at fucking 3:40 a.m. while losing money on fucking interviews of people talking about having sex and League of Legends. All right?
Nah,
it's a
probably
fucking
purple.
mess.
Yeah, you might be right. Might be purple, yeah.
One of the other questions I wanted to ask you was, actually no, quickly I wanted to say, obviously LS was at C9 for a little bit of time, and you're still quite good friends with him.
Right.
Do you ever try and bring any of his ideas into the office? Do you sort of go, guys, we need to pick?
I mean, we share
need
a
to
lot
pick
of-
a blue comp here.
We share a lot of ideas about the game, so I mean, it's like already like, I don't like actively think, I'm gonna bring an LS idea into the draft or into the game, but rather like it's just an idea that we both probably agree with.
Yeah.
And then I bring it into the team
That's
sometimes.
Good. That's a fair answer. I wanted to ask you another question. Do you think the LCS would become a lot stronger if we moved it to Nebraska?
I didn't even know there was a place in America called Nebraska.
It's like the suburbs.
Oh, it
Basically,
is?
what I'm asking is, I think that LA
Suburbs,
is
bro. It's the Midwest. All right, bro. Too fucking.
like a throne of vice, so to speak. You've got like a lot of people that have their, their jaws are swinging like Tarzan from LNG after they
Rich,
go
shut
to
the
the
fuck up. Do you realize that makes it worse? If you're fucking rich, 3:40 a.m. sipping fucking black coffee out the solo cup, that makes it even more fucked up.
Festival on the weekend.
Right.
I think if we move it to like the middle of nowhere, the middle of bumfuck nowhere, then a lot of these indolent work-shy Americans can really start to, I mean, you're not one of them. We know.
I'm Australian, so yeah.
You're not one of them.
I'm just a work
some of these,
Australian.
yeah, some of these indolent Americans, I think they really start to buckle
What the
down.
fuck is an indolent? What is that?
Work-shy, lazy.
I didn't even know what that word is.
You
I dropped
don't
out.
know?
Yeah, now I know. Thank you.
No
Appreciate
worries.
it. Do I think it'll help? Honestly, I think we just like. think we should just move to like Chicago, bro.
Why Chicago?
It's cheaper and the ping's better.
But like, how's that going to help?
I mean, Nebraska
Because
ping's got to be pretty good. It's got to be like.
I think it's something to do with LA, man. I think you guys you have your mocha, chocolate, caramel, pumpkin spice lattes in the morning, and that's never. There's guys in Korea right now in a PC bang.
Do they not have those in Nebraska?
Maybe I don't think so.
I think they might.
No, they don't. I checked.
You went there?
I called ahead.
You actually went there and
I checked. I was scouting.
You were scouting like to see if we can move
you're
there.
You call yourself the LCS. We know what the LCS Players Association is.
Right.
You know, we know you're the LCS player or whatever. But as the commissioner,
I'm not a player. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm a virgin.
I was going to say let's check, but I don't know that there's any way of checking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like how this has gone. To be honest.
You have 1 minute left, mate.
Let's take it back to an old school one.
Uh-huh.
In 2020, when M&S played in OCE, he left because he said the solo queue was really shit. And you commented on a tweet from Legacy Esports saying, "Where's M&S?" Sort of in a funny little, "Where's he gone?" And then you ended up being on a team with him. What was your reaction when you heard that you were going to be on a team with M&S?
Well, I thought it was funny because when he was playing in OC, he was a friend. He was on a team with like basically all my friends.
Yeah.
They did not like playing with him. They did not like playing with him.
Yeah.
So I did not hear very good things.
Yeah. I heard he likes late night karaoke.
Bro, most Koreans do.
I mean, a lot of Koreans do.
Yeah.
Okay, so same thing. Yeah, no, in LA, bro, all the Koreans are fucking all about karaoke. The LCS Koreans and shit.
It's a very popular thing in Korea.
Yeah. Right, cool. I think we've got a wrap. It's been lovely speaking to you. And
we got a wrap with the wrap.
Peace and love, mate. Handshake. Ready up. Goodbye.
Yeah, just leave them. All right, okay, draft.
Summoning thy
All right, so this is what I wanted to talk about. I saw this Reddit thread a few days back, but I was like in my grind, so I didn't want to talk about it yet. This is always the topic, right? Every offseason, you have the main topic of conversation. NA goes to Worlds, normally shits the bed. Everyone gets upset. Everyone questions why this happens, and then people that are in the scene or from other scenes start speculating as to why NA sucks. Now, I thought that this discussion was a really good one because you have Lyra, somebody who played in LCS for years, actually succeeded in LCS as well. Rigby, who was just a coach, so that's super updated, right? Like, he obviously was just here. He just coached a successful team. He was the coach of VG. If you remember, he was on Clutch and I believe Dignitas. He was on all those teams from season 7 to season 9, I believe. And then Cloud Templar is a Korean former pro player that is now a caster. So I thought that this was actually a really interesting discussion. I have my own reasons why I think NA sucks. I don't think that a lot of like the standard ones that everyone always applies to are still like super valid. I know one of them that people talk about is like 60 ping, but most of the facilities have like 45 now, which I think is pretty reasonable. It's not that far off what Europe plays with, and I mean Europe has had significantly more success than NA. So I don't think that's one that people really need to be talking about, but I just wanted to go through this discussion and I'll add in like my mentality as to why, or like my reasoning as to why I think NA continues to struggle. Let's go into it. So apparently this video was 1 hour and 37 minutes long, so I'm just gonna read the main translations and I'm going to like interject as I see fit as to where I think more things could be added or like problems that I've noticed from my participation, but then also just from talking to pro players and just listening to like the way that they discuss their full year. So I mean, I guess I'll start off with this. I'll start off with my first point here. I think that the main problem with LCS is not necessarily like things out of their control or work-life balance or any of that. I think that it's simply that you cannot find 5 players in North America that will fully commit to one team and improvement for a year straight. Like, it will never be for a year straight. There will always be, you'll always lose someone. There's always going to be someone who's going to develop another hobby or chase some random girl or have some issue where they just don't want to play the game anymore or they burn out. You'll never be able to get like 5 people, sit them down at the beginning of the year and be like, I need you to give me 11 months. 11 months of like try hard. Like 11 months of you caring about the success of this team over anything else. over like other personal goals you might have. Like just 11 months where you just dedicate yourself fully to this game. You're on top of patch changes. You're grinding day in and day out. Like you want to win more than anything. Like most of your time, like most of your conscious hours being awake, like you don't have to do the 24 hour, like you don't have to do some crazy schedule where you're just like not sleeping in order to be a competent pro player. You need to obsess over the game though. And like even when you're doing other things, you want to be like thinking about the game. You want to be like, you know, when you're just getting like into that mode where you just care more about something than anything else. When you're eating, you're like thinking about the game. You're like thinking, oh, like what about these champions? Like when you're showering, you're thinking like, oh man, like how sick would it be if like we pulled out this, or like maybe we could alter this part, or maybe we could like work on this aspect of our game. You're just obsessed with it, and I think that is like the most powerful thing, when you just really care about winning. You know, and I feel like the most successful teams, they have this naturally. Like when the players go eat together, they're talking about the game. They're talking about new champions. They're talking about, oh, I kind of want to play this. Oh, what if I play that, then maybe we could do this. Oh, this would be a sick strategy. Wait, you remember this old combo that people used to use? Well, now one of these champions is back in the meta. Why don't we just pull out that old combo? Like there's all those types of things that I think could be super valuable. So that's the number one thing that I think is the thing that hampers NA teams from being able to actually succeed, is you don't find 5 players that will give you 1 year. That will give you 1 year and not fall apart. Number 2, I think that there's an unreasonable expectation as to how improvement works within a team environment. When it's not met, makes people give up extremely quickly. So I think that most pro players, when you talk to them, they think that improvement is linear. They think that like you're gonna start at point A, the first day is the worst you'll ever be, then you'll get slightly better each day, right? Everyone always says that, right? 1% better each day. If you're 1% better each day, then like at the end of the year, you're gonna be like 370%. Like, I mean, it's actually more than that because it's multiplicative, but you get the point, right? Like they're like 1% better each day. That's not how improvement works in League of Legends. You're going to get better, and then there's gonna be a patch, and then you might get worse, or you'll try to work on one aspect of your gameplay. You're like, okay guys, we're gonna like focus on top dives, and then you focus on your top dives, and you know, you lose some games, you know, and then when you go back to normally like, okay, well, like maybe we should like ease off of that, let's try something else. And then when you go back to like what your default standard way of playing the game is, you're somehow worse than that. And I think that really with North American pro players, they're not ready for like a ladder grind. Like even if you take somebody, right, like let's say you take a leaderboard, this isn't like actual improvement, but you take somebody who's even like rank 1 in league, and you like tier graph them, like it's gonna be like up and down. Like this is just gonna be how your progression is in almost anything. Even if you're super successful, right, that's just gonna be how your progression is. You're gonna get better, you're gonna get worse, you're gonna like have something happen, and you're gonna plateau, and then at some point while you plateau, you're gonna have a breakthrough. And when you have that breakthrough, that's when you like get to another level, and then that becomes your base level. So it's not that like you are now just consistently improving again. It's like you've consistently improved to a point, and then you plateau again, and then you might get worse, slightly better, worse, and you're gonna be in that grind, and it's gonna be mentally tough the whole time. And there's gonna be times where you're scrimming and you're gonna be like, why the f do we even scrim? Like, dude, scrimming makes us worse. It's like, yeah, right now we like have gotten worse, but scrimming is not making us worse. We're just like, we're getting worse. And the other thing is, it's comparative. It's not just like you're playing against a machine or something, where I feel like that same way of progressing would actually occur like in almost anything in life. You're competing against other people, so it might not even be that you're like worse than you were before. It might be that like other teams got slightly better, or other teams are improving faster than you. And I feel like these types of things, like because pro players are not mentally ready for this, it ends up being up teams. It ends up destroying pro players' mentality. So those are 2 things off the top that I think really hurt NA pro players just from talking to them. Like they give up so fast, bro. They give up so fast. Like you'll scrim 2 days trying a new strat, and if it doesn't work, and you know, it just seems like, oh well, these players can't play this game, it's done. Like you chalk it up. And part of that is because of the LCS season, right? The LCS season, you know, you have 4 days of scrims, game, 4 days of scrims, games. Like that's just the way that it is. So you feel kind of pressured to be, you know, band-aiding all the time. But at some point you have to like, you have to realize like, dude, 8 teams are fucking making playoffs at the end of it. At least in the old format, 8 teams are making playoffs. That fact alone, and the fact that you can't get relegated, should mean theoretically that you can put more time into actually trying to improve your team and not worrying about How's my individual performance looking? How am I looking compared to this guy? Am I going to get a bigger contract than this player that I think I'm better at in the end of the season? It's like all this stuff that doesn't actually help you become the best team possible. Like, you have to just value the team success above everything else if you want to be part of a successful team. So those are things that I wanted to talk about, because I haven't read all of this, but I thought that it would be interesting to go through. So that is where like my mentality is going into this, that these are the biggest problems to me. Okay, so NA head coach's perspective on NA's struggles at Worlds. So let's just read it from the top. Cloud Templar introduces Rigby, former EG head coach for 2022, and Lyra played in LCS as jungler for 3 years, and also adds that they are somewhat free to talk whatever, since they're all going to the military soon. They're all the same age and they are friends. Okay, so they should be able to have a pretty candid discussion. Lyra, I think LCS dumped me first, implying that he could say whatever about LCS, but this is never said. Okay, so yeah, Lyra did get dumped, and also like the way that Lyra got dumped I thought was kind of weird, because from talking to people that were on his team at the time, all of Lyra's teammates really respected him. They were like, oh, this guy is really smart, he taught us the game. He was like the coach of their team really during like the clutch success. And even though he had that rapport within his team, he got like axed almost first. He got kicked out immediately. So if you talk to people that played with Lyra, you talk to Vulcan, you talk to Huni, you talk to Demonte, they all just had a ton of respect for this guy, and apparently NA just viewed him as not super valuable, or like that he's already taught these other players. Now they can go and bring the wisdom to newer players that are maybe more mechanically talented. Cloud Templar points out that there was only a single time NA made it to World Semis. Didn't need to point that out. I think about that all the time. Rigby, NA teams at Worlds in 2022 had no leisure to look out for each other. EG was different than other teams. EG tried early game comps. All the other teams stuck to late game scaling comps. Cloud Templar points out that LCS has done much better at MSI. LCS had some strengths during 2016 to 2019 at least. Rigby says, my team EG was simply trying to learn as much as possible. We expected to lose all scrims against LCK, LPL, and LEC. It's sad. Both at MSI and Worlds. That is crazy that a North American team, a team that went in as #1 seed from North America to MSI, or like obviously they're the #1 seed, they're the only team from North America, but a team that is considered to be one of the best in North America, top 3 whatever at least at Worlds, is expecting to lose every single game versus LEC team. That's just, I mean, that's ridiculously low expectations. NA servers ping problem. Regular season Champions Queue has a ping of 8, but it was 30 during Worlds due to varying locations. It used to be 60 on NA server. There are pros that utilize it and some not. Those who don't blame the voice comms stressing them out after their scrims of the day. Champions Queue, there's a couple issues. The biggest issue with Champions Queue, from talking to a lot of the players, is they really hate the matchmaking. The skill-based matchmaking is just not accurate. Like, there's essentially just even if everyone's supposed to start at a like even slate, the fact that amateur players like are even in games with like top tier pro players is going to skew. It's going to be way more than whatever like the Champions Queue rating system is. And because these pro players care about like winning their games, they hate the experience of just like losing games. That's why a lot of them don't play Champions Queues. They will play with amateur players. Like, the game will feel doomed. It's like you're going into a solo queue game and it's like, oh, the other guy had, you know, Summit in spring, and we've got this like amateur top who just started, who's like a in Riven one trick that is now trying to go pro. I know I just kind of like made it sound like General Sniper, but I wasn't thinking about General Sniper. I was thinking of a motherfucker named Meslo who keeps on inting me. But you have like, you know, an amateur player is just learning pro versus somebody who's a top tier pro, and you go into that game and you feel like it's lost from the beginning, and then you play it out and your top's just getting off the whole time, and they just feel like the matchmaking is literally just worse in Champions Queue than in actual solo queue. And that's why people are playing solo queue over Champions Queue. They just really hate the matchmaking. Lyra, with NA solo queue, for some champs you can't queue auto because it's so slow. In the morning, which is the peak time for Korean solo queue, there's nobody playing in challenger level games. This is because of work-life balance culture there. True. I can tell you that because like I have an account that's, you know, bordering on challenger, and when I would queue up in the morning, like I would queue up after LPL sometimes, you're getting no one in your games, bro. Like, you're just getting, even if you're like high GM, you're getting just master tier games because there's like no challenger players playing. And a work-life balance and work ethic. I've heard that the introduction of Champions Queue has not really changed the amount of pros practice. Rigby, in scrims, the practice partner opposing team won't allow for redoing games that were decided too early to gain good practice. For example, if the enemy Silas gets 4 kills during a botched invade and LCK, the opposing team would agree. Wait, you know what's so funny is this is coming full circle. Let me finish I'll finish reading it and then I'll give my opinion so it's completely clear. For example, if the enemy Silas gets 4 kills during a botched invade and LCK, the opposing team would agree to redoing the game so that one game's practice won't be lost, but LCS teams refuse to redo. If this happens for 1 or 2 games, the scrim might end as early. I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be end. The scrim might end as early as 2:30 p.m. even though the usual scrim block is from noon to 5 p.m. I hate hearing. So you're telling me that there's days of scrims? Because there's only like 4 days of scrims a week, right? It's 4 days of scrims, 1 off day, 2 days playing LCS. The 2 days that you're playing LCS is pretty chill. You go to LCS, you have to be there like 2 hours early. You know, you do makeup, you know, you go to the person, you do hair and makeup, you chill out before like the game's a bit, you do your like tech check, then you go on stage, you know, 15 minutes before it, you play your game. After your game, you go do like fan stuff. You have interviews there at Riot. You have interviews with independent journalists and all that stuff. And then you normally go out for a team dinner. So like in a day where you play at like, let's say you play at 12:30, right? Your day from like 10 until 5 is going to be done. Like you're just not going to be doing anything during those days. So if you take multiple days like that, and then you also have days where you're only like, you have a day off, and then you have days during the week where you're only scrimming 2.5 hours. That is fucking ridiculous. But it's pretty funny that Rigby makes this point, because for a while, this was considered like something that people would use to shit on NA. They're like, look, if a Silas gets 4 kills during a botched invade, you should play the game out. Because like, what happens if that happens in a real game? How are you gonna overcome this if this happens in a real game? What are you going to do? How are you gonna adjust? Like, you gotta learn how to adapt on the fly, and you know, there's gonna be these things. And that was one of the main criticisms that people used against LCS. So it's funny when you've existed in the scene for so long that now people just hit you with like both sides of the argument. It's like, why does NA suck? NA sucks because they remake too much. Then like 10 years down the line, it's like, no, NA actually sucks because they don't remake enough. It's like, bro, I feel like this, like, it's just a balancing act, right? Like, you have to just be able to gauge how bad the situation really is. Did this guy get like 4 kills at level 1 and now you have a Silas that, and like he started a Darkseal, now you have a Silas that has Hextech Alternator, Corrupting Potion, and Darkseal with 8 stacks starting the game and the game's already over? Like, if it's something like that, sure, right? Like, then you remake the game. If a Silas gets like 1 kill or something though, like probably don't remake the game. I think that you just have to be reasonable. You have to try to like not be emotional, and this should generally come from your coaching staff to be able to gauge how bad the situation actually is in the game. Is it playable? Is it not? And like, are we wasting time, or are we actually, you know, testing our resiliency and we're actually learning how to play from behind? Yeah, and then obviously like you should just keep on playing games until 5 p.m. You should play 5 hours worth of games. So even if like you FF a game, it shouldn't be like, oh, well, that's one of the 5. It's like, why do you need to only, it's like, it's these random rules that LCS teams have created for themselves that then they hold themselves to as if it's God's word. It's the same thing that Riot does, where they create like a system, and then like the system is flawed, but they won't adapt the system because they made the system originally. It makes no sense, right? Like, you don't have to only play 5 games. Like, your goal of practice is to get better. So you should just be playing as much as you can within a period that makes sense, so players aren't like, so it doesn't become destructive to your team. You should just be playing as many games as you can in order to get solid practice where you actually feel like you're improving. The goal is to improve. So if you're supposed to play 5 games, I mean, the reason why it's 5 games is because if each game is like a 30-minute game, and then NA teams are taking 20 to 30 minutes like for review, and then maybe you take like a 15-minute break in between like the 3rd and 4th game or something, so you know you can reset a little bit. Because if a team loses 3 games at the beginning, maybe they're getting tilted. Take a 15-minute break, everyone chill out, go back, hit game 4, game 5. The reason why it's supposed to be 5 hours is so that you can get 5 games. So that is what the goal of practice should be. It should be to just like play a reasonable amount of time together as a team each day. And it seems like people just view it as like, no, we only have to play 5 games of scrims. And the other thing that I've realized, that like most pro players just want scrims to be over. They view it as like school. You know, like when you're in school and you're like, man, we get out at like 3 o'clock, and you're a kid and you're looking up at the clock and you're like, oh, it's 2:45. Like, okay, 2:50. Like, okay, it's almost nice. 3. All right, 3. We're out. And then you just like you just leave school. That's how pro players view scrims. They just can't wait for it to be over. And so a lot of these pro players aren't doing it from like a good standpoint. Like they're not ending at 2:30 because they think that that's like the best way to improve. They're doing it because they want to just do other like, oh, like we can end, then I can go get some food, go to the gym. Like, all right, cool. Like we can come back, play some like solo queue after. They don't actually care about the improvement. It's coming from a super bad place. Cloud Templar. So they only do exactly 5 games of scrims, not 5 games worth of scrim practice. Yep, EG had impact on other players who have good work ethic. So we always went for asking for redos, but teams kept refusing. So sometimes we ended up arguing, saying, you guys are bottom tier anyways. If you guys are gonna practice like this, what's the point of scrimming? You guys are gonna be dead last place anyway, so don't practice and go party. I respect that. Cloud Templar. All right, so EG was an exception. I've definitely heard that teams with Korean coaches and players are definitely much better. By the way, forgot about disclaimer. These are simply our personal opinions, even though we've all been wait, hold on. For some reason, we've all been to NA and known LCS. I talked to a lot of LCS players for this video, and I've heard from everyone that Korean coaches and players are really different. True, but I mean, I experienced the opposite. I literally experienced the opposite when I was competing. The person that wanted to end scrims or not scrim the most was Piglet. Like, Piglet and Phoenix wanted to just play solo queue the most. They wanted to just take days off scrimming and just play solo queue. They said solo queue is like the best for like just improvement, like just improve your mechanics. Like I did not feel like this was the culture, but then again, like this is obviously a personal anecdote, which is similar to what they're doing. I mean, they're just giving personal anecdotes. And I've heard that like Piglet was different than most Koreans, and part of the reason why he was actually kicked off T1 in season 4 was because he like didn't have the work ethic that they wanted. Like he had a grind work ethic in terms of solo queue, but the team work ethic wasn't there. The scrim schedule's 5 game 1 block since LCS is BO1. So they match the on-stage game schedule with the scrim schedule. This leads to team scrimming, and then the better teams usually win the first 3, and then slacking off, trying out wild uses pick from the last 2 games. I've personally experienced the wasteful games in scrims because of this. Cloud Templar says, practice is simply scrim plus solo queue. And I heard that there are pros that don't play any solo queue at all. Is that true? Definitely. There are ones that play a lot of solo queue, but some of them that don't play solo queue at all. We tried to get intel on players by looking at their solo queue match history, but sometimes we can't because they literally have no solo queue games. Reacting to the chat. You guys are bringing up Barrel as LCK Pro that doesn't play solo queue, but LCK is different. We do 3 game scrims twice a day. This is on a different level. Players do solo queue to rest after scrims. I mean, this isn't that much different. This is what the format was when I was pro. Like the whole time that I was a pro, from season 1 to season 6 when I retired. It wasn't even 3 games. It was 3 hours, right? Like you wake up at 11 or like 10. I mean, it depended, right? When in season 4, when we lived in a team house and we practiced at the team house, you'd wake up at 11, you know, do like some light review or just like a light discussion about like what you want to practice for the day, or maybe like a review of some of the games you played over the last weekend for LCS, maybe reviewing the games for the team that you're about to play. And then at 12, you had a block. So you did 12 to 3, and then there was a 1 hour break, and then you did 4 to 7. And then if you triple blocked, and we started triple blocking a lot towards playoffs because TSM was the best team in the region at the time. I know for like newer fans, they're gonna be like, what? Like how is that possible? Yeah, but they were. Bjergsen was like the GOAT, and they were doing triple blocks. So they would do an 8 to 10 block. So they would do like 3 games, 1 hour break, 3 games, 1 hour break for dinner, and then 2 games. That was their schedule. We started mimicking that. So there was scrim days that we did 8 hours. There was also days where I would help the academy team play because Dardoch was having problems like adjusting to the academy team. So there were days where I would scrim 2 blocks, and if my team wasn't triple blocking, I would go and do a last block with the academy team, like so that I could communicate with the team and they could watch like how an LCS player would play in academy and learn from it or whatever. So this used to be standard in NA. I don't know why we started practicing less. Well, I know why we started practicing less, but the reason we started practicing less is just a stupid reason. They're like, well, G2 is practicing less, and they're the best team that the West has ever produced. They're doing the 5 games, so we should do the 5 games. That was our mentality as to like why NA wanted to like mimic the G2. That's like if you looked at a team like the Chicago Bulls and you're like, well, Dennis Rodman is going to Vegas after games, skipping practice, like doing a ton of and having with like random players. Like we should do that too, because that'll make us a better, like I don't understand like why you have to copy. Just because the team is more successful than you doesn't mean that their practice is better. They could just be better players. LCS pros say they don't want to do voice comm or they don't want to get stomped, etc. Yeah, they keep making excuses. Isn't that why? Isn't that just saying they don't want to practice? Yep. Cloud Templar. In Korea, if a player says he doesn't want to practice, the coaching staff just kicks them out. But in LCS, the player can instead kick the coach out for calling him out. Apparently, this is quite common. This is unimaginable in Korea. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like culturally also, like Korea has the thing where, I mean, all the coaches are going to be older than the players. You have to like respect your elders and things like that. But I mean, there's just more of like a scarcity of talent in North America. I mean, if you're paying a player $2 million a year, right? And you know, now they have a good contract. Now they have good agents, and that money is like guaranteed whether they play in LCS or Academy. And they just like are being a little about it, but you don't. Like, you know that your team gets worse if you kick them. What do you do? Like the reason that Korea can do that is because they have such like a wealth of talents that are close enough in skill set where they can replace pretty easily and not see enormous downgrades. Rigby says the goal should be better performance, but even the better coaches in LCS go for simply showing off his knowledge. In Korea, post-game feedbacks are done by looking at the game as the players looked at it in-game, but in LCS, post-game feedbacks are done with even opponent's vision turned on, so no fog of war. And the coach would blame the player for getting caught when the feedback should be, we should have put vision there so we don't get caught. This is not the way to do feedback. That's actually a really good point. I think this is something that coaches should adapt to. Personal perspectives is really broken. Like now you have all those apps. Like I use Outplay. I use my own personal perspective when I play solo queue so I can go back and watch how I play things, right? Using personal perspectives and using Fog of War is really good. And I was thinking about this yesterday because a lot of the times when you're coaching teams, like you're coaching in this like when you talk to people, they're coaching in this ideal sense, but it's a game of imperfect information. So like understanding like the mental game of like, oh, you've cleared this team's vision, so like now watch like how they're gonna contest. Like there's a bunch of rules in League of Legends that you can break if the enemy team doesn't have the vision and the confidence to make the counter play on time. So for example, here's one of the most basic examples of a rule that you have in League of Legends. It's like, don't go bot when Baron is up. Don't send a lot of people bot when Baron is up. But there's multiple ways you can break this rule, right? If you have vision on Baron and you're stronger than them, and they have like a split push threat in the side lane, you can send your solo laners both there, and they have TP, so you can answer like the counterplay on Baron. Furthermore, if the enemy team doesn't have vision, they're not going to know that you're going bot and killing bot lane until you've actually started hitting him. So like, have you ever been in one of these solo queue games where, you know, your Tryndamere's pushing bot, but you're way weaker as a 4-man, and you can't walk up, and then you suddenly just look at the map and there's like 5 people on the Tryndamere and you're like, oh, like, okay, we can go Baron. And then you start walking to Baron. But by the time you get to Baron and you start hitting it, the Tryndamere's already f***ing dead. You have people rotating across the map and you're just not able to actually like kill the Baron in time. A lot of these situations are like viewed through an ideal sense where if you're doing it with Fog of War off, you're going to be looking at the situation being like, oh, but they could just go Baron here. But they're never like, teams are not going to just walk and start doing Baron and have the read of a lifetime without any vision. Like, League of Legends is a game where people make sense. There's not that many like mind games in League of Legends. So being able to like use vision to your advantage and then like make decisions knowing that your opponent can't make an